let's talk about this Candace Owens thing for a moment. Which is, Candace Owens, I think it was, somebody sent me this, and frankly, I didn't care. But when we were talking about Steven Crowder and how his fundamentalist worldview and the fundamentalist worldview of his wife, or then wife, probably contributed to her hanging into that marriage for as long as she did in the abusive structure that it was in, because often in fundamentalist households, they are structured in such a way that it is acceptable to say you're not working, you're not acting in a wifely manner. This is what fundamentalism is all about. Maintaining a specific hierarchy within not just the family, but within society. Within the context of a family, it constitutes the husband, the man, having control over everyone in the household. So much so that maybe you have only one car. Mm-hmm. And you dole it out to your pregnant wife, and she must ask for permission, and that you need to do certain duties to service him. And I made this, this is, I think, an uncontroversial point about fundamentalism.
It's not. It's literally embedded in the structure. The man is at the head of the household in the way that God is the person that you're supposed to serve. The way to serve God in fundamentalist households, particularly in this country with Christianity and in other religions, is you serve the husband as a proxy for serving God. Now,
it just so happens the majority of fundamentalists in this country are Christian, but very often we talk about the fundamentalist Jews around the corner. There's a reason why, Hasidic women are not supposed to have wearing, clothes that show a knee or an elbow. There's a reason why they generally don't get educated in the same way as the men. But Candace Owens took issue to this and pretended like we were talking about Christianity. And I've got no more problem with Christianity than I do with Judaism. I'm a practicing Jew. Now, not according to her boss, who considers himself the Pope of the Jews. But I have no problem with religion when it is not fundamentalist, because by its very nature, it understands that there are other concepts that exist out there. Here is Candace Owens practicing more of her fundamentalism, imposing her religious morality onto other people. That's basically their entire shtick, and it's either directly invoking religious fundamentalism or indirectly invoking religious fundamentalism.
When you consider surrogacy, especially surrogacy for the sake of surrogacy, there is something demonic about it, right? When you are doing it, not because you can't have a child, right? Even worse, right? Khloe Kardashian is able to have a child. She has a daughter, True, who she grew inside of her own body. And simply because she wanted for her daughter, True, to have a 100% biological sibling, but she was not willing to have sex with the serial cheater, Tristan Thompson. That's what happened. She didn't want to have sex with him again to produce a second child. She decided to borrow and purchase some other woman's body. And it's a horrible way of stating it. And I, again, want to assign her all the credit in the world for speaking out on it. But she is correct in her assessments that there is something wrong with this, right? That because she is rich, she purchased another woman's body for 10 months. That woman went through the hormones. The woman went through probably so much more than just, and what comes with that, right? That woman went through the cravings. That woman went through feeling that child kick inside of her for probably more than 20 weeks. You probably experienced first kicks around 16 weeks, maybe 20 weeks if it's your first pregnancy, only to give birth, to go through this incredible God moment, right? And then Khloe comes into the hospital and just takes this baby away into the other room. How are we okay with that?
Can you pause it for a sec?
Well,
I would like to bring up the concept of adoption to Candace Owens, because there's a whole right-wing movement in this country that's centered around making sure that abortion is no longer legal for people who can get pregnant. And their answer is always, well, if you don't want to have the baby, you give it up for adoption.
So,
but is that demonic? Because in that instance, the person gets pregnant, maybe she's 16, maybe she's 15, they have the child, and then the child is ripped away in some instances and goes right to the adoptive parent.
Let me see if I understand what she's saying here. She's saying that if you entice someone by paying them to go through all the burdens of pregnancy, all the cravings, it's this hard, this, that, and then to have the child be taken from you, that is demonic. But if you force someone, not pay them, but if you force them to have that pregnancy and to go through the cravings, go everything else, and then they adopt the child, that's a blessing. Mm-hmm. That's what she's saying, right? I mean, she hasn't changed her position on abortion.
No, but the reason she says demonic when it comes to surrogacy was what brings us to the fundamentalist point, is that oftentimes these are very specific instances of extremely wealthy people, like the Kardashians, who have the ability to like opt out and say, I want to protect my bodies and the way it looks, and I think that's really the motivating factor, to be honest. But regardless, like most of the time, surrogacy, I shouldn't say most of the time. Right now, surrogacy is often associated with gay couples that want to be able to have children.
Dave Rubin
is an example. And the reason she's calling it demonic is because it's ungodly for gay men to want to have children.
I would expect that from her, of course. But how can she say that it is demonic to pay someone to carry a pregnancy and take the child away, but it is a blessing to force them to be pregnant and to give birth? That seems to me to be a little bit of a contradiction.
I don't think it is in her worldview, because the punishment is the point for that reason. If you are in a position where you are not going to keep your child that you give birth to, that means you've done something fundamentally wrong, and you deserve that punishment of going through the entire pregnancy and having the child ripped away from you as a way for God to say,
you shouldn't have had sex.
You shouldn't have had sex.
I see. Keep playing. Oh, incidentally, let me just add this. If Kim Kardashian or the person who was her husband or boyfriend or whatever, whoever those guys were sitting 16 inches away from me, I would have absolutely no idea who they are. So I don't care about any of these people. But
I do want them taxed more.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
The problem is that it privileges a certain class of people to be able to have this option. Most couples in this country.
Hey, that's the free market, Emma. Do you not like the free market? Rich people spending their money on their desires actually benefits all of us in the long run.
And to be fair, Candace does not like the idea of commodifying health care. Oh, keep going.
Okay with that, I guess, is my question. We would not allow this to take place or it happening to an animal. Literally, right now, if you go to an agency and you say, I want to purchase this cat, right? They will tell you that they will not give you the cat for 3 months because they want that kitten to be around its mother. They would never allow for a dog to give birth and then snatch the puppy instantly away from its mother. They would never allow a kitten to give birth and then snatch it away instantly and sell it, because they would say there's something wrong about that. Right? They would say we cannot treat
but they would say, do you have any cats that this cat can associate with?
But that's not even the point.
This is ridiculous.
No, that's not even the point, because she would advocate this very thing. And again, I get the fact that she thinks that you should be punished if you have sex, and that only God gets to decide whether or not you are pregnant. But what she's now arguing is exactly what her argument is as to why she believes in abortion bans and forced pregnancies and forced childbirth. It's the exact same. It's just the exact same thing that she would argue if you can give the child up for adoption. That there is no emotional cost or physical cost associated with pregnancy. You are forced to be pregnant if you've had sex. You don't have a right to end that pregnancy. You're forced to give birth.
I don't think she denied the emotional cost in the end. I think she's so barbaric that she would admit that that's a part of it. Or if not, that's clearly what's underlying it.
But she's arguing here that we wouldn't even do that to dogs. Go ahead.
The kitten at first needs to find its mother's nipple and it needs to feed. For some reason, when it comes to humans, we just say, it's fine. This process is totally fine. I imagine that woman having just given birth in the same way that Chloe is thinking about her and feeling guilty about it because Chloe's given birth. She knows what happens. She knows that then that woman's body is telling her suddenly to release. It knows that she's given birth, and the miracle of birth then signals for your body to release milk so that you can feed the baby. And so what's happening to this woman is she is going to feel her breasts engorge, and she is going to experience that urge to be able to feed an infant that she wasn't even allowed to really hold.
So can you pause it?
How are we allowing this?
So this surrogate seemingly entered into this contract with Khloe Kardashian in a way that, like, the Daily Wire would not claim that contract is in any way exploitative, right? Like, the surrogate said, I'm going to engage in this or enter into this contract. I'm going to give birth to Chloe's child, and it seems like, I would imagine, she's paid quite handsomely for this. So I don't understand how we can criticize this contract between two consenting parties from a conservative worldview if it's not from a bigoted fundamentalist perspective, which is clearly what it is. And again, calling surrogacy demonic or whatever is unnatural is purely a way to stigmatize gay couples that have the ability financially to go this route and who want to go this route. She's just using this example to obfuscate that very fact. We can keep going.
This to take place. How are people comfortable with this? Of course, I know that there are always exceptions to this, and sometimes there are circumstances where there is a couple that has been trying to have children for 10 years. Something is wrong with the woman's body, and she agrees with her sister to give birth. And her sister, of course, is both the aunt and the person that gave birth to the child, and it's forever in her life. And of course, in the comments, one of you guys is going to give me one of these exceptions, but I don't pay attention to exceptions. I pay attention to rules. And there is something deeply demonic about surrogacy. And
pause it for a second. Again, how many situations of this surrogacy do you think exist versus the forced pregnancies that we are going to see in this country, and we have seen, because of the abortion bans that she supports?
Yeah.
And, whether it's people who are forced to give birth because they had sex with their partner and didn't want to be pregnant or have a child, or whether it's people who are victims of rape and incest, and or maybe they're too young, maybe they don't want a reminder that they were raped. They will be forced to carry to term these pregnancies and give birth. That is, again, according to Candace Owens, a blessing. But surrogacy is demonic. And the reason, again, it's not because she's concerned about the mother. Mm-hmm. She's not concerned about the person who gave birth and their breasts being engorged. Because if that was the case, she would be just as concerned for those people who were forced to have the pregnancy. She is concerned because she is a fundamentalist religious fanatic who wants God to be in charge of this, does not want gay people to be able to have any relationship. She's probably against them adopting children for that matter, but also does not want them to have any biological investment in a child. And of course, God understands the exceptions. All right, one more minute of this and that's it.
No comfort to me that Kim in this same segment, and Chloe says she envies Kim because Kim felt fine about the process. Yeah, well, this is your sister Kim who sold her body, plotted to sell her own body transactionally for fame. It doesn't surprise me that she doesn't feel any remorse or any guilt about snatching a child from someone who she basically used because she just wanted to have children.
Can you pause it
not
again?
Out of need. Kim Kardashian already had two.
I mean, I don't know. Whatever. It's just like it's funny that she says this now that she's friends with Kanye, his her ex-husband. But yeah, I mean, this is just such silly stuff. But in the end, like, this also goes down. It works well with their attempts to restrict reproductive freedom. And
It's the same thing. It's people can't be trusted and doctors can't be trusted to pursue their health. We
it's
need to stay secret
anti-science.
in way.
Yeah,
But
it's anti-expertise in the medical field.
But it's also, I mean, what it is, it also puts to lie as to the reasons why they are against abortion.
Yeah.
It is because their entire worldview has nothing to do about abortion or about the imposition or non-imposition on women. It is based in their religious fundamentalism and their imposition of their religious morality on the rest of us. I'm perfectly fine with Candace Owens living according to scripture or whatever it is that, her God has told her that she has to do. If she wants to be subservient or and not upset the patriarchy, whatever it is, go with God. But go with God. Don't impose it on the rest of us. And that's exactly what she's doing.
I'm curious how she's able to work outside the home. It's interesting.
She believes in exceptions, like she said.
Mm-hmm.